the Lord has been dealing with me about the opportunity that He's been giving me, about my mindset, about the way that I approach things, about the way that I think. And I know that it's not just for me, but it's for you as well. Some of you, hopefully more of you today than Friday, noticed the front of the building. Did anybody notice anything different about the front of the building when you pulled in? Yeah, a few more of you, not very many. I don't know if you noticed it, Sheila, because I know you know the building. So it used to say Lion of Judah World Outreach Center. Before Rabbi left, we changed, we started going by the church at Lion of Judah. So people are like, what is a World Outreach Center? There's Islamic centers around Toledo now. So some time ago, the eldership here, we felt like we would remove World Outreach Center just because, to kind of remove some confusion. And then we thought, okay, well, we want to put Church up there. We want people to know what we're doing here. And the Jewish roots are everything to us, but we want them to understand that this is a church. This is the body of Christ, the body of Messiah. So we just put that up. About 6 or 7 months ago, we had just enough letters in World Outreach Center minus one H to be able to put Church up there. So I had to reach out to some metal fabricators around the city to find somebody who would make the H. This guy had the H and was going to make the H about 7 months ago. I took it to him. And it took him 6 months, me text messaging him about 15 times, calling him a few, knocking on the door to finally get it done. Persistence, kavanah, divine intention, chutzpah, guts. We've got to go after it, right? We've got to go after it. And I went after it. So, finally got it. Somebody that told me they would put it up on the building when we got it, text messaged him. Carlos has text messaged him. Elder Thomas texted. We've called him. He's came to the building like 3 times, 4 times. And then, for whatever reason, wouldn't do it. And the Lord told me, because this is going to be powerful. This is a church of growth of the Word, holiness, set apartness. We're not assimilating. We're in the world, but not of the world. And it's going to be a great tool for God's purposes. And this is why we've experienced such delay and pushback on it. So finally I reached out, and I should have done it right from the start. Our beloved friend Jim, who will be having the mikveh out at his property. He built our children's bathroom, did the room downstairs, the missionary room downstairs. And I said, hey, we've got this project. And he said, okay, I'll do it. He said, give me about 5 or 6 days. He ended up reaching out to me Thursday and saying, our job is delayed. We don't have the materials for the job, so we're going to be out Friday and do it. Great. So I've been doing a walk every morning when I'm, in the office, in the parking lot with some kettlebells, doing some curls and, a little workout. And I walk up this side, the exit side of the driveway. By the way, this is the entrance. That's the exit. I know nobody knows that apparently, but I just kind of thought it was entrance, exit. If you come in this way, you might get hit. Right? But anyways, I'm walking up with my doing my curls, and I get up to the end of the driveway, and they were already here at 7:45, and they were like, we're waiting on the guy to bring the scaffolding. So as I walk up to the top of the little hill there, I see the guy, he's got his turn signal on with a trailer and the scaffolding, and he's turning in. And all of a sudden, there's a van doing about 1,000 miles an hour coming up behind him. I mean, he's literally left turn signal on, turning in right here, and this van, for whatever reason, tries to pass him on the left. Yeah. Oh, wow is right. And smashes him, and his tire gets knocked off. By God's grace, everybody that was involved in the accident was okay, but I'm just like, the devil. You know, I don't think every hindrance is from the devil. I think sometimes God's slowing us down. I believe God's sovereign. And even if he's allowing the devil, you know, I think God's in everything. But I'm just like, the devil. I know this is the devil. This is Satan trying to prevent this project from getting done. And I don't say that lightly. Those of you that know me, I don't generally make those kind of statements, but I know that's what this is. So I call 911, and I'm saying this with grace, and I hope you hear me, because I believe in Romans chapter 13 that all authority is established by God. All authority, I believe, from the best to the worst, from what seems godly to what doesn't seem godly, I believe all authority is established by God. That's what Romans 13 says. You can disagree with me if you want, but read the Bible. God said it, not me. Well, a police officer came, and I watched the whole thing. I was an eyewitness to the whole account. So I walked up and began to share with this police officer my eyewitness account. And I said he was turning in, he had his turn signal on, he was turning left, and this van was doing an excessive amount of speed. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Just the facts. And I said, sir, I'm giving you the facts as I saw them. And I began to share again. He was like, everybody thinks they're an expert. How do you know he was going an excessive amount of speed? Every civilian wants to come and tell me what they know. And I said, sir, I'm sorry, I'm just telling you what I saw. Like, I'm not trying to tell you your job, I'm just telling you what I saw. And again, I'm not like, please, I'm doing my best to keep my heart posture in a posture of honoring the police, honoring this man. So I don't want you to hear this and say, that's corruption, you know. That's not the Lord. The engagement went on like this. And I kept trying to like de-escalate myself and humble myself, because my general tendency, as some of you know me well, is not to de-escalate myself, but to escalate the situation. But I really, tried to stay in a posture of honoring and blessing him. And I said, well, if you don't need anything more from me, I don't. Okay, I'm just going to go about my day then. And I walked away, and I'm going to be transparent and be honest, I wrestled. And I really am asking God, help me to bless him. And I want to mean it, when I bless him. And then the Lord began to speak to me about this. I'm showing you something. This happened for you. I allowed this encounter and this harshness and this roughness to happen for your sake. And I began to think about, and I've been on a growth now for, what I really give my heart to the Lord in 2014. Right, had a radical encounter in 2013, 2014. I said, okay, I'm all in. So 12 years I've been walking this walk the best that I can, and I've failed at times. And the Lord showed me, like, this man, this officer, and he doesn't know what he's had. He doesn't know what he has. But God, because I believe the Bible, has given this man a place of authority and influence. And as a pastor and a various leader, as my time here at Lion of Judah, he's given me opportunities of authority and influence. And just like that officer hasn't realized what he's had at times, or doesn't, and I haven't at times, we've failed in it. And I'm sure each one of us as parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, friends, bosses, whatever positions we've held, there's been times where we haven't carried ourselves in a right way. I thought it's interesting that the Lord, I wrestled Friday. I mean, up till service time, I was going to continue to walk through Genesis, like we've been doing. And I knew when I come in, the Lord was like, no, I want you to talk about this. I want you to talk about what I've been dealing. So he actually began dealing with me about something, about a mindset a couple of weeks ago. I had a meeting and a conversation with the worship team and kind of shared this thought process with them. And I know it's really important that I share it with you, because the reality is everybody in this room, if you're a believer in Jesus, if you love Jesus, even if you're not, you have a sphere of influence and a place of authority. Because all of you know somebody. Hands up, anybody that don't know anybody. You know people, Kat. I know you know people. So we all have this opportunity to have influence and impact. But what I want to share with you, I wanted to tell that story, just kind of set a stage. So what the Lord has been dealing with me about, again, is a mindset, and the mindset is values over goals. Goals are good and they're interesting, but they're also fickle. Here's I'll give you a kind of a brief description or definition of goals versus values. Goals is a mark that you set to obtain, and then when you obtain it, you've reached it, and then what? Goals are fickle. I love this. Daniel, he said, well, Friday night we were talking, and he said, yeah, goals, they're either accomplished or they're crushed. You can accomplish them, or they can be crushed and you can never make them. Either way, whether you get there or you don't, there's an end to it. It's something that you're striving for, and again, they're good. I have goals, but I've shifted my mind. Values are something that you become. They are who you are. So values won't go away. The reaching and the moving towards values are a reaching and a moving towards who you are and the base of your being and the core of your being. And the Lord has been dealing with me. I never grew up this way to where we thought about values and what is it that means something to me? Who am I? Who am I? I've never wrote that down. What means something? What makes me? I have them, and you have them, but I've never really thought about it. I've never wrote them down. I've wrote down goals, right? You hear, what's that, vision board? I've had one. But man, it's so much more than that. I was in a conversation with Jovelyn last evening. We were talking about the health journey I've been on and what's motivating you. So I began to tell her what's motivating me. It's beyond a goal. When I set out for it, I had a goal that I wanted to reach this weight. But as I've been walking through it, it's come to me, no, I want to be healthy. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better pastor. I want to be a better example. I have values in this. It's not just a goal anymore. I'm not just trying to obtain a goal. It is becoming who I am. That's values versus goals. Goals, you may accomplish them, you may not. Values, you will continue to walk after it, to go after it, to pursue it, because this is who you are. It's your nature. There's Hebrew names of God, right? His covenant names like Yahweh Yireh, Yahweh Rophekah, Yahweh Sidkenu. These are just these are his being. They are who he is. They're not just a description or something that he does. They are just who he is. And that's what values are to you. I had to think about it. It took me a minute, and I'm still praying for more of them. Friday, I had 3. This morning, the Lord gave me 2 more. And they've been something that have been a part of me. I just haven't defined them. There's values that you carry that you haven't defined yet. And because when you define it, when you make it a thing, something that you can look at, behold and become. Just like Jesus, we behold him, we view him, we keep our eyes on him, and we become like him. That is the value. God works all things together for the good of those that love him and are called to his purposes. And his purposes are that you are conformed into the image of his Son. Not conformed into the image of the world. And this should be like your number one value. It's not the 5 that I'm going to share with you. These are my 5. Maybe they'll inspire you in some way. But I want to open up with this scripture. If you don't mind standing for the initial reading of the word. I'm going to read from, it's not going to be up here because Jackie didn't know. So if you got your Bibles and you want to open them up, or it's the only reason I'll excuse it to be on your phones right now if it's the Bible app. Otherwise, I'll rebuke you. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to be that guy. I really don't. It doesn't do any good anyways, Denny. Toby kind of half quoted me yesterday, didn't he? He's been watching my stuff. Right? I love this rabbinic saying. A rabbi is like the geologist of the soul. I'm a teacher. He can lead you to the treasure, but you have to do the digging. So I can lay this out there. I don't need to, I've tried that, right? Like force people to follow, and it doesn't do any good. So I'll show you where it's at. I'll show you the stuff that's worked for me in my life, and you can take it or leave it. I'll let that be on you. But again, Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7. For as he thinks within himself, so he is. For as he thinks within himself, so he is. Like, it's not just, okay, so he does. Right? Solomon, the most wise man on the planet, he didn't say, as you think, that's what you'll do. He says, as you think, that is who you are. There's certain values in your life that are beyond what you do. They are who you are. Please be seated. So look around, I think of what Denny spoke over you guys about being good ground, about Lion of Judah being good ground. And I say this as a father over you right now. You're good ground. James Dernberg, you're good ground, my friend. And don't listen to anything else. Daniel Poirier, you're good ground, my brother. Don't listen to anything else. Barbara, you're good ground. Don't listen to anything else. I sat in that seat where you're at, Greg, and I'm going to say it to you. Greg, good ground. My spiritual father, he told me some time ago, I was sitting in that seat, he said, Matthew, my son and Lord, you're good ground. And it meant something. So I want you guys to hear me. I speak it and I believe it over you. I believe the words that I'm going to speak are going to be like a seed in your heart. And they're going to produce fruit. Some 30, some 60, some 100-fold, but it's going to produce. It's going to go down deep. The roots will go deep and they will bear fruit up. I believe it. Just so happened this morning, I text messaged my spiritual father, Rabbi, happy Father's Day. And he said, I just had a vision of you in the Spirit. And the Lord showed me he's going to use you mightily today. And I receive that, and you receive it today. So the 5 values, and I want to encourage you guys, I want you to do some homework for me. Is there anybody here that's ever sat down with a pen and a piece of paper and wrote down your values? The absolute things that you will not compromise on. They are just who you are. If you haven't, that's your assignment for the week. Begin, and it won't, like if you're like me, it's been a long process to just get 5 of them. So don't just begin to write stuff down. Really pray about it. Really sit with the Lord and be like, okay, Lord, what are the things that I will not compromise on? And it'll be work, but do hard things. Do hard things. Don't take the easy road. Broad is the way that leads to destruction. Narrow is the way that leads to life. And there will be few that find it. Don't be a part of the many. Be a part of the few. Do the hard things. Young people in this room, do the hard stuff, because you can do the hard things that produce fruit and that produce value, or one day you'll be doing hard things just to try to dig yourself out of a hole like I did. So you can choose to do the hard things that will take you somewhere where you want to go, or you can let life take you and then one day you'll try to dig out of it. Your choice. Don't wait. Don't wait until it's too late. Do the hard stuff. Do the hard things. Write it down. Figure out who you are, what you won't compromise on, what your values are, and then go for them. Go for them. And don't let nothing stop you. Go for them. And it's going to be hard, but go for them. So the number one thing that the Lord instantly spoke to me, and I've been sharing this, but I hadn't wrote it down. It wasn't it's a value, but it wasn't I see it as growth, personal growth. I'm going to run through them and talk about how they're connected to each other, and then I'm going to share some scriptures. Because my number one value is fear the Lord, right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of the wisdom. Treasure His word in my heart. I mean, that's my number one value. But I'm going kind of somewhere other than that. I'm talking about the way that I'm walking, the way that I'm living, the desires that I want to produce in my life. The number one value is growth, personal growth. Why am I going after my Master's of Divinity? I'm already in my calling. It's not like I need this to it's not going to produce some financial fruit in my life per se, but it's personal growth. I'm doing something hard. I'm reaching for something. And in the midst of that, I am growing in my knowledge and understanding, and it's helping me grow you. Growth. And if you think you've reached a place where you need to stop learning and stop growing, oh my, let me share with you. I'm gonna quote Shawshank Redemption again. Morgan Freeman, he said, get to living or get to dying. So if you're not growing, then you're getting to dying. Living things are growing. Dying things are shrinking. Always be learning something new. Always be growing. Always be growing. You have the rivers of living water flowing from your innermost being. You have the Spirit of the living God in you. So my number one goal is growth. Because I want to grow people, like I shared earlier, that quote, right? I want to be a great leader that creates other leaders. And the only way I can do that is to continue to grow myself. The second value that I have is positive impact. I want to have positive impact on everyone that I encounter. I really do. The reality is I shared a couple of weeks ago, the rabbinic thought is there's Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Hatov. Yetzer Hara is the evil inclination, The Yetzer Hatov is the good inclination. So we can give over to one or the other. I want to walk in Yetzer Hatav. Everybody I encounter, I want the good nature. I want the good, positive thing to happen. Now, I could bring some balance to that because discipline, the Lord disciplines those whom He loves. So sometimes it's discipline, but what is the purpose of the discipline? What is my, spirit in it? How am I handling? How am I carrying? And I've not walked it out perfectly. But that goes back to personal growth, and it goes to the next one. The next one is honesty. Like, I want to be honest in everything that I say and do. And I need to be honest that I need to grow. I need to be honest about myself, not just others. But I need to be honest and say, yep, I need to grow. I need to be honest with myself and say, yeah, sometimes I have a negative impact, and I want to have positive impact. As much as I need to be honest to bring some insight to you, correction or direction, I need to be honest with myself to bring correction and direction. The fourth one the Lord gave me this morning, generosity. I want that to be it's not, I don't just want it to be, it is a value. It is who I am. I'm generous. I know it. My wife will tell you. I'm all the time, hey, do you have any cash on you? And it's not me, it's the Lord's Spirit in me. And she's like, but she knows I'm going to give it away. She knows the moment I go, hey, do you have any cash on you? Because I don't carry any, because I'll give it all away. She's like, oh, okay. Are you generous? For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. He's generous. Again, I want my values to be, I want to look like Him. Jesus loved you and gave His life up for you. Nobody took it. He laid it down. People have to take from you, or are you going to give? And then the last one He gave me this morning is servanthood. I want to be a servant. I want to be a servant. Jesse, thank you. Comes last evening, enjoys the youth explosion, and then he's downstairs helping me carry out trash. Well, third time here. Thank you. I was emptying a trash can, after I'd been on the grill and whatnot, and my wife said, how are you feeling? I said, good. She was like, well, you're emptying that. How do you feel? I said, I feel good. Now, it's not always like that, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't serve, right? I shared, an account with you guys before where, we were doing a thing for a young man here, and all the young guys were over there hanging out talking, and I was serving well at first, and then it began to be painful. And I started to get a little frustrated, and I heard the Lord say, when it hurts, you're serving me. Jesus got nailed to the cross, and it hurt. He experienced separation from His Father, and it hurt. But He was serving you. Isn't that a radical thought? I love this. I've shared, quite a few quotes from Rabbi Abraham Heschel. He's passed away, died in 72. Great Old Testament theologian. I can't remember where I was going with that. Oh, the title of his book. That's where I was going with that. Thank you, Holy Spirit. God in Search of Man. Just consider that for a moment. Have you been in search for God, or has God been in search for you? He's a servant. And I want to be a servant. So let me connect some of these to some scriptures. You guys doing okay? So I want to go to John chapter 15. And I'm going to read verses 1 through 2 for you. I'm in the wrong gospel. Let me get to the right one. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes it, so that it may bear more fruit. Growth. Personal growth. If you're in him, you should be producing fruit. And don't be... When you're asking for patience, and then the slow person pulls out in front of you, or some person that you're like, you see them coming in the hallway and you go the other way all the time, and you can't get away, you got to deal with it. You know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then you're that person. But anyway. You're being used by God. But you know what I'm talking about. So you're asking for this thing, or you're asking to love better. And there's that really hard to love person. You know who they are. You know who you are. I heard this, EGRs, extra grace required. I'm one of them. I'm an EGR. You've got to give me extra grace. But God's sending them to you because he's pruning you. Because you're producing fruit, and he wants you to produce more. We have the tomato plants out there, and there's two types of branches that grow off a tomato plant. There's one that bears fruit, and then there's one that's called a sucker branch. So you prune those sucker branches off, and God's goodness, it forces all that energy to go into the fruit-producing branches of the plant. Growth. Impact. Again, in John chapter 15, I'm going to read verses 8 and 16. My Father is glorified by this, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. Positive impact. Verse 16. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you would go and bear fruit, and that your fruit would remain, so that whatever you ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. This I command you, love one another. Positive impact. He chose you for the very purpose of bearing fruit, for having positive impact into those you encounter. Everyone that you encounter. Now, hear me. I'm not, because I know a lot of times preachers can stand up here and they can have, because they're sharing something with you, it may come off like I'm telling you I'm doing this stuff perfectly, and I'm not. I want you to hear me. These are values. These are things that I'm continuing to move towards. These are things that I'm continuing to allow the Holy Spirit to produce in me and through me. These are things that I'm setting beyond a goal, because I might love somebody really well tomorrow and then fail the next day. But it's a value and not a goal. I didn't accomplish it. I'm going to keep going. Honesty, I got a whole bunch of them here. Matthew chapter 12. Verses 33 through 37. Got to get to the right gospel again. It would have been probably good to mark them in my Bible, but then you wouldn't sit here in silence for a moment. Matthew 12, 33 through 37. Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad. For the tree is known by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you, being evil, speak what is good? For the mouth speaks out of that which fills its heart. The good man brings out of his good treasure what is good, and the evil man brings out of his evil treasure what is evil. But I tell you that every careless word that people speak, they shall give an account for it in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Be honest. Like if somebody asks you to do something, I hear this a lot. And this is Christianese for I'm not going to do it. But just say, I'm not going to do it. Hey, will you do this? I'll pray about it. Are you really going to pray about it? Maybe you will, and if it's an honest response, then let it be an honest response. And I've been guilty of this, saying I'll pray about it, and I'm knowing all the while I am not going to do it. I've already said in my heart that I'm not doing that. So just be like, hey, I really appreciate the opportunity, or yeah, I'm not going to do that. Be honest. Be honest. And if you're honest with somebody in a gentle way, right? Like, you got to be kidding me. That's beneath me. That's not the way to be honest. That goes back to number one value, personal growth. You need to grow. But if you're honest with somebody like, yeah, I'm so sorry, I don't have time, or I'm not interested in that, or I don't really feel like that's, what I should do, and that person doesn't receive it well, let it be their issue. But if you lie, or you're not honest, you're not forthcoming, then it's your issue, right? And you're going to be judged in the day of judgment for it. The unfortunate reality is that officer that I encountered, God has given him authority and influence. He doesn't maybe know it, but just the fact that he's ignorant of it doesn't mean that he's going to be not held accountable someday. You're not ignorant. You're going to be held accountable someday. Then there's other sides to this coin too. So I want to go to 1 Corinthians. You guys doing okay? Good. A couple of you are. Some of you are like, man, I got a steak waiting to go on the grill. I think it's interesting, Sheila. Mother's Day, it's like the families come out. Father's Day, where are they all at? Just goes to show you, men be leaders. I appreciate those of you that are here. Like Deuteronomy says, it's actually your job, fathers, to teach your children. So 1 Corinthians chapter 11, I'm going to read 31 through 32. But if we judged ourselves rightly, we would not be judged. But when we are judged, we are disciplined by the Lord so that we will not be condemned along with the world. So how does judgment come to do with honesty? Being honest with yourself. Judging yourself. If you judge yourself, if you're honest with yourself and say, I'm deficient in this area, I'm lacking in this area, I need to grow in this area, right? Like you can't grow and have positive impact if you're not honest with yourself and say, I need to grow, or I'm not always positive. I make no bones about my deficiencies. I know they're there. Oh, wretched man that I am. But I'm not trying to leave them there and justify them and say it's okay. We should be examining ourselves, right? Like I'm trying to pick the speck out of my brother's eye and I've got a log hanging out of the side of my head. Deal with the log, like, right? Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's judge ourselves. Because you've been chosen, Jesus said, to bear fruit, and that your fruit would remain. So we've got to judge ourselves. And then 2 Corinthians chapter 13, I'm just going to paraphrase it. But if you want to write it down, verses 5 and 6. Paul is saying to measure yourself to see if you're in the faith. Am I walking it out? Am I following Jesus? Am I doing it? Am I honest with myself? And listen, if you're not, the beautiful thing is, because I don't want you to, there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. There is repentance. There is a turning. There is a measuring yourself, being honest with yourself and saying, man, Lord, I used to be way more connected to you, and I'm not anymore. And I want to be, or whatever X, Y, Z is. Be honest, measure. Like that is the great starting point. Where do I start? At the beginning. The beginning might be, I have stumbled. Generosity, Acts chapter 20. We'll go there. Chapter 20, verses 33 through 35. Acts chapter 20, verses 33 through 35. I have coveted no one's silver or gold or clothes. This is generosity. You yourselves know that these hands ministered to my own needs and to the men who were with me. In everything I showed you that by working hard in this manner, you must help the weak and remember the words of the Lord Jesus, that he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Paul worked hard, and he gave hard. Generous. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. In him we live and move and have our being. He holds all things together. Do this. What a gift from the Lord. There's some people that can't do that so well. Luke chapter 21. Verses 1 through 6. I mean, let me set the stage for this, because this is. So Jesus is entering in. Jesus has entered in. He just experienced a triumphal entry. So he's literally going into Jerusalem here, where he's about to be hung on a cross for you and me. He's about to experience a torturous death, separation from his Father, which is interesting, right? It's the triumphal entry. He's entering in because it's through his giving of himself, through the generousness of giving up his life, that he brings victory. But he pauses. And he looked up and he saw the rich putting in their gifts into the treasury. And he saw the poor widow putting in 2 simple copper coins. And he said, so he pauses on his way to his death. And he begins to teach his disciples about giving. This is how important generosity is to God. He is on his way. He only has a few things left to share. And he stops and he talks about giving. And he said, truly I say to you, this poor widow put in more than all of them. For they out of their surplus put into the offering. But she out of her poverty put in all that she had to live on. And while some were talking about the temple, that it was adorned with beautiful stones and votive gifts, he said, as for these things which you are looking at, the days will come in which there will not be left one stone upon another which will not be torn down. Your car, your worldly riches, your beautiful home, your amazing job, whatever it is you think you're storing up and building up that makes you something, is all going to burn up. But Jesus found generosity of the widow that gave out of her lack all that she had to give, so precious that he stopped and used her as an example to teach from. Can you say that about yourself? Is this a value for you? Can you be honest? Is it a place where you lack? Servanthood. Matthew chapter 20, verse 20 through 28. I'm going to end with this. Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to Jesus with her sons, bowing down and making a request of him. And he said to her, what do you wish? She said to him, command that in your kingdom these 2 sons of mine may sit, one on your right and one on your left. But Jesus answered, you do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink? And they said to him, we are able. About to serve with this body. To the point of pain. Do you want to sit at his right hand? Do you have what it takes? Are you willing to drink from the cup? He said to them, my cup you shall drink. But to sit on my right and on my left is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father. And hearing this, the 10 became indignant with the 2 brothers. But Jesus called them to himself and said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great men exercise authority over them. It is not this way among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you shall be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. Are you a bench warmer? Or are you a giver? Are you a server? Or are you a taker? What's your value? What's your values? What's your values? When was the last time you served the body? When was the last time you served the house? When was the last? Denny, 4 buckets of trash Saturday. Thank you. When was the last time you were out here and you were walking to your car to or from and you saw a piece of litter on the ground and you picked it up to keep the house clean? When was the last time that you saw somebody struggling to get through a door or up the steps and you stopped and you helped them? When was the last time you walked through one of the pews and saw somebody's cup that's not yours sitting in the pew where they left it and you picked it up and you threw it away? Small things. It's the value for. I want to be a servant. It wasn't Jesus' sin that put him on the cross. Yeah, it's not your cup. It's not your trash. It's not your job. It's not your whatever. We think about who we're serving. Jesus said, what you've done for the least of these, you've done for me. When did I see you in prison, Lord, and visit you? When were you hungry and I fed you? When were you naked and I clothed you? What you did for the least of these, you did for me. What you do to serve his people or to serve others around you, you are doing for him. He said, enter into my Father's kingdom. Receive the blessing that it is. Oh, you didn't feed me when I was hungry. You didn't clothe me when I was naked. You didn't visit me when I was sick or in prison. Darkness. What's your value? Are you continuing to grow? Do you want to have positive impact? Are you honest with others and with yourself? Are you generous? Are you serving? If you're not, here's something beautiful I want to share with you and leave with you. It's not too late. It's not too late. But it will be one day. But it will be one day. If you hear his voice, today is the day. Today is the day. Don't wait until tomorrow. Today is the day.